Lisa is here. She's one of the organizers of a really cool event coming up later this summer. So we're telling you about it now because we want you to maybe go check it out. I've heard wonderful things about it. If you like barbecue, great food, great setting, tell us about this Death Store Barbecue in Washington Island.
Death Store Barbecue is a sanctioned, KCBS sanctioned barbecue contest.
Which means it's serious.
It's a serious competition. The food is awesome. We always hold it the weekend before Labor Day, so that means this year the public will be welcome August 23rd. We have children's activities. We have barbecue teams that will be selling their competition level barbecue. We have island restaurateurs and artists who will be selling product out there. We have children's activities. It's a great day. Come on out and see us. Admission is free. We appreciate free will donations, but it's free. And it's just an awesome, awesome day.
You know, I've been to Door County a million times and I love it, but I've never been to Washington Island. It's on my list, so I may take you up and come on up.
That would be fabulous.
It sounds so fun.
It's a great boat ride. It's awesome.
And you can bring the family. It's just really away from it all. It's spectacular. So mark your calendars right the weekend before Labor Day. And one of the things that we're going to show you how to grill today, because it's tricky, but I love it. Flank steak. And Lisa and I were talking. My mom, when we did steaks at home, we always did one big flank steak, and then we sliced it up between 4 and 6 people, and that is what I grew up with steak. Yep. To this day, it's still one of my favorites to do.
I think, and I agree with you, flank steak can be tricky because it can be a little bit tough if you don't cook it properly, but I grew up on flank steak too. There were 7 of us in the family, so totally understand, but that's where this marinade comes in so beautifully because it's going to tenderize the meat for you. And if you're having people over for barbecue, you can do this ahead of time, except for the very last step of grilling and putting your sauce together.
Yep. So, love that. A lot of bang for your buck. There's no waste with flank steak. There's no fat, easy to eat and slice, but you have to do it properly. Marinate.
Absolutely.
A good several hours or even the night before. So we're going to start with a great Creole rub that's an all-purpose, and then turn that rub into a marinade. So you could do the rub up to a few weeks ahead of time, right?
Absolutely. And it makes a big batch. Like you end up, this is a half pint jar, and you can see that's, well, maybe you can't, but it's pretty full. You can use this for any beef. You could put this on your burgers. You could put this on anything. So you just make it up ahead of time. Have it ready to rumble for just about anything.
I love it. Okay, so let's go through the rub part of it.
Okay, so I'm not a measuring spoon kind of person, so you just want to take your proportions, but I'm going to give you what the recipe says. So we've got 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano leaves, 1 tablespoon of dried thyme leaves, 1/2 to 1.5 tablespoons of cayenne pepper. I'm not really big on hot stuff, so I stay on the low end, but if you love cayenne, go for it.
Okay.
Some fresh ground, 1 tablespoon of fresh ground black pepper, 1 tablespoon of fresh ground white pepper, and you can use the stuff that comes in the jars, but if you do use the pre-ground stuff, get the small containers because they're fresher.
True.
2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of sea salt, and
I'll get it out of there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's a little humid out here.
And 2 to 3 tablespoons of paprika. Now, people think paprika is really spicy, but it's really not. This is what's going to give you that lovely sort of smoky flavor, which I like. So I go to the higher end on the paprika and use the full 3 tablespoons.
You know what I was noticing, Lisa, is most of us have all this stuff anyway in our pantry just waiting to be used. So it's not like we had to run out and get a whole bunch of different spices.
There's no exotic ingredients in this. So you just mix it up. I tend to use my fingers, which I won't do on television.
I'm going to check on our steak. Keep going, Lisa.
You can use anything to mix this up, and again, throw it into a small mason jar and you can keep it. Then you take this seasoning and you go into this particular case, you're going to go into your marinade. So I'm just going to set this aside for a minute. So you're going to take 2 tablespoons of the Creole seasoning, and if you don't have time to make the Creole seasoning, you can use Zatarain's, you can use Paul Prudhon's, and just add a couple of little things.
Okay.
So about 2 tablespoons there. Like I said, I'm an eyeballer.
Quite a bit of garlic.
I love garlic. 3 tablespoons of garlic. You can always add more depending on how much your friends also like garlic.
Okay.
2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Another tablespoon of fresh ground pepper. I love these How many recipes do we know about that call for 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and
Yeah.
then the can sits in your refrigerator and goes
I
bad?
hear you. So this is in the tube, which works great.
And you can seal it up and use it for your next 1 tablespoon recipe. And then about a 1/2 cup of either dry sherry or red wine. Dry sherry is going to give you a little bit lighter flavor.
Okay.
Red wine will give you a little bit more robust flavor, so
Okay.
it depends on just what you want.
So we took that dry rub and we basically are making a nice wet marinade.
Correct.
Now we got a big, gorgeous flank steak here. What's ideal? Like, how long do you like to marinate?
5 hours minimum, 12 hours maximum.
Okay.
Okay, if you go longer than 12 hours, the fiber in the meat starts to break down, it gets
Okay.
mushy.
So like the night before,
Night before is awesome.
in a big old Ziploc bag or a glass pan.
Ziploc
Yeah.
baggie, exactly. Glass pan is good. You can flip it over. If you're going to do it in a pan, just make sure you turn it at least once or twice per side. So this is what you're...
Now, this is the steak. Once it's marinated, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can take some of the marinade and reserve it to make a sauce, or you know, a lot of people aren't sure about this. You can boil that reserve marinade. So after the steak has been marinated and you've got the leftover marinade, if you cook it, you're going to cook the bacteria out of it.
Correct.
So we're going to pretend like this is the reserved marinade, and we're going to cook that down on the burner, and it'll just kind of reduce down a little bit. You can even, I always tell people, use that side burner on the grill. How long would you let that cook, please?
Bring it to a boil, then take it back down to a simmer until it just thickens up a little bit more.
Okay.
So reduce it by about a third, or again, eyeball it. If it looks good, it's good. But it's important that you bring it up to a boil first, particularly if you're using the marinade that you reserved from the meat.
Absolutely. Now here's our steak. The other, I think, key with flank steak, and I think you'd probably agree, is pink is best inside.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
You cook this. This is, if you are a well done steak a lover, this is not the cut of steak for you, because it's going to just get dry.
Right.
And it really should be served pink. And the other golden rule: let it rest, let it rest, let it rest before you cut into it.
You want to let it rest for at least 5 minutes. When you're cooking it on the grill, you need 9 to 12 minutes only for this. It cooks up pretty quickly. Only turn it once. If you like to use meat thermometers, and I do, cook it to about 120, let it rest for 5 minutes. 120 is going to be rare. About 140 will give you medium. Let it rest for 5 minutes and slice it.
All right. And I like to slice it. You want to slice this on the angle.
Right, against the grain.
This looks so good. Now that reserved sauce over there, after that cooks down a little bit, we can serve that sauce with it. If the sauce is a little spicy to you, a great tip was we've got some Lamer's heavy cream. Add a little bit of cream to it, and that'll obviously make it a wonderful cream sauce. Check out this steak. How gorgeous is this? Lisa, you're going to stick around. What are we making next time?
We're doing a grilled pineapple. Super, super simple dessert. It's delicious. I actually sent this down the road to my neighbor who hates pineapple to have him check it out, and he loved it. So,
I can hardly wait. And we'll put Lisa's recipe for this amazing flank steak with that marinated rub on our website. How perfect did this turn out? Oh my goodness gracious.